Hi, so we did get the test results back for Jane's Wechsler Intelligence Scale for Children. We have the test results back so that we can review them together and look at how we can make some interventions for her academic struggles. So her full scale IQ score from the test is at 97. This is in the average range. So if we look at a scale of 100, 100 being perfectly average, Jane is right in that range at 97. The test is then further split up into different areas where she completed testing in different sections to kind of just see how different parts of her brain work and how different learning happens for her. The first section that we're going to look at is verbal comprehension. This is how Jane is going to use her words and how she understands things. This was scored at 104, which is better than 61% of her peers. So like we said, if we're looking at a scale of average being at 100, she is scoring just above that at 104 and still in that average range. The next section that we will review is perceptual reasoning, and this is how Jane solves puzzles or identifies patterns. This might be something like being able to look at a picture and know what is missing, or being able to look at a pattern and know what comes next. So this was scored at 102, which means that she is scoring better than 55% of her peers. So still just right in the average range, right over 100. The next section is working memory, and this is how Jane remembers information and uses that information that she has learned in the future. It's how she is using her memory. And in this section, she received a score of 86. And a score of 86 is in the low average range. This is meaning that Jane is scoring better than 18% of her peers in this area. And so this is an area where there can definitely be some interventions in place so that that Jane is working on retaining information and being able to, use information that she has learned in the past and apply it to new situations. And this is where we can kind of create some strategies to work with. Finally, we have processing speed, which is just how quickly somebody can get information and solve problems. This again was at 91, so just under average. She's scoring better than 27% of her peers. So that working memory where she is scoring in the low average, that is really where we can make some interventions and recommendations for school to make sure that they are teaching her in a way that's going to help kind of strengthen that memory. So the recommendations are that we are highlighting information that should be reviewed regularly so that she is getting into a habit of remembering those important details. And this is something that can be done with reinforcement, positive reinforcement. In addition, we want to make sure that she's focusing on completing the homework, that she's doing what is needed without being too concerned about what those grades are, because we do know that Jane is working at an average level. She is, capable of doing the work with her peers, but she does have that need to kind of have things that she struggles with, how she's remembering things. And so another strategy for that is it's called chunking information. And so that would be, for example, when you're trying to memorize a phone number, you might think instead of 306-8321, you can remember 36-8321. And so just taking pieces of information and kind of grouping them together to be remembered a little bit more easily. So these are a few strategies that we can provide to ensure that Jane is improving on those academic scores.